Today, what we learned is that we should be exercising power carefully, and if it is gone unchecked, it can be dangerous to us, and how important it is to think critically for whatever we do. Welcome to BWB, and today we are here to continue with the episode of Alice in Wonderland, the fiction novel, and the magic non-fiction novel. And as we continue, watch till the end because there are a lot more insights for you, and I'm sure you will love it. Dr. Siddharth Sen, please let us know what is next in the book.
Thank you, Shitapa. Today we are talking about the dangers of unchecked power. And Alice in the Wonderland has so many lessons to learn. Uh, this is a century-old classic, as Shitapa was talking about. We have already three episodes, which have already happened on Alice in the Wonderland, and we have been learning throughout. Today I'm talking about how this century-old classic talks about mismanagement. We are exploring the dangers of unchecked power through the character of Queen of Hearts. As Lewis Carroll writes of, off with the heads is our favorite phrase from the chapter 8, the Queen's Croquet Ground. Alice thought she had never seen such a curious croquet ground in her life. It was all ridges and furrows. The croquet balls were live hedgehogs, the mallets live flamingos, and the soldiers had to double themselves up and to stand on their hands and feet to make the arches. And Alice had to hold a flamingo and hit the hedgehog like a ball. And every time she did it, it always gave problems. But the queen had her arbitrary decisions and brutal outbursts whenever there was something going wrong in this field. Even before that, when she was meeting the gardeners, I remember she talking about off with their heads because the gardeners were supposed to grow a red rose garden, and they grew instead of red, they grew white roses, and then they started painting the white roses into red. This is where the queen got angry, and that's where her authority showed out. Her point was always sentence first, verdict afterwards. And this is a recipe for disaster. We must be cautious of leaders who prioritize power over reason and justice. As we reflect on Queen's actions, remember that power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Let's strive for balance and accountability in our own lives and institutions. What can we learn from this behavior of the Queen? How can we apply this in our own lives and societies? Dr. Geeta, what do you feel about it?
Hello, Siddharth. I loved your narrative on Alice in Wonderland. And very true. As we reflect on Queen's actions, we should remember that power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Striving for balance and accountability, as you say, in our lives and societies is very, very essential. This brings up the question how we can apply it in our own lives, right? And this reminds me of a episode that happened with my friend. So her son was a dental student and he was going to become a surgeon. He was in his last year of internship, and I believe he was not getting along well with his professor. And the outcome was that he was failed in his viva. He would have lost his 1 year, and he was a brilliant student. And our parents were devastated. What to be done? And after ascertaining that he has done really well, and there was, this kind of injustice going on, they spoke up. They, spoke to the chairman of the group of institutions, and there was an inquiry conducted, and there was every necessary step was taken to right it. So the professor also was pulled up, and this is exactly what happens when there is that kind of a power without justice. It leads to fear and confusion. Just like the queen rules by fear, shouting off with the heads at the slightest offense, in the same way, toxic leadership, arbitrary systems, and chaotic workplaces or institutions create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. So when suddenly they change the rules with a reason, and fear will suppress the courage to speak up. So I would say, just like how the gardener you said, Siddharth, they try to paint the white roses in red color. So also many systems, they give more validity to appearances than to merit. And if authority goes unquestioned, it creates a totalitarian system, just like the queen had created in Wonderland. What is needed, I believe, in today's world is critical thinking, calmness, and quiet boldness in the face of irrational authority, just like how Alice does. And just like how my friends questioned the system and connected directly to the power of authority and justice of the chairman of the group of institutions to write it. So I would say that in an unpredictable world like ours, developing inner clarity and calmness is a form of quiet resistance. So what do you think, Sritapa?
Absolutely. I think if power is not utilized consciously, and it can definitely lead to disaster. In office as well, many people do extended working hours, and they in the pressure situation, they tend to extend their working hours, skip meals, and do not sleep well, work on weekends, and maybe one fine day they feel dizzy, tired, and too much pushed, doing work and not rested. And one person has also collapsed in office, and this has happened in several offices, I'm sure, and been rushed to hospital when doctor checked him and found that he had borderline hypertension, severe exhaustion, and these are early signs of burnout. So this cannot happen overnight. It was all because of that slow, invisible damage which we caused, and it was because of those, power which was not checked by the authorities. They just pushed the work on someone, and it impacts health, which is forcefully taken by someone not able to speak up. So with this, I will like to hear from Jasbir what she has to say from the book Magic and how she is going to relate with this. Jasbir, over to you.
Thank you, Shritapa. We'll have a recap of Alice in Wonderland, what Siddharth shared with us. The queen rules with fury. What is her logic? It's flawed. Her justice, non-existent. Everyone fears her, even though her authority is comically shallow. With every off with their heads, Carroll mocks the absurdity of unchecked power and blind obedience. And what is our takeaway from this story? When power lacks wisdom, we get chaos. Sentence first, verdict afterwards is a sharp reminder of what happens when justice is overruled by ego. The queen teaches us not just about bad leaders, but also about the inner queen we all have when we react rashly or control unfairly. And what does Rhonda Byrne tell us in the magic? She speaks about gratitude. Gratitude clarifies reality. Often we give too much power to what we fear or resent, including our bosses, systems, or even our inner critic. We give so much power to it and we focus on that fear. But when we focus on what's truly working, we see what matters. Like Alice, we often encounter loud, unreasonable voices, externally and internally. The queen is a metaphor for misplaced authority and emotional tyranny. The magic teaches us to shift attention from what we fear losing to what we already have. That switch in focus takes away the false crown. So, as simple as energy, wherever energy flows is where we spend our energy. And the lesson that we learn is don't hand your peace over to a cardboard monarch. Gratitude dethrones fear. So, that's what we are learning from the magic. That gratitude helps us overcome all our insecurities and fears. What do you think, Sujata? Do you have any story to add to this? Over to you, Sujata.
Thank you, Jasmeer. So, just now, what you told, that's so true because in my real experience as a teacher, also, I can relate it so well. When I first became a teacher, I was untrained, no BEd, and I was inexperienced. I wondered how I would face those kids bubbling with energy. I was nervous, and I also had, I joined mid-session. I had to finish the course, the syllabus. Then I saw what the other teachers were doing, and I got advice that don't let the students ask questions. It will derail your lesson plan. You won't be able to complete your syllabus timely, and then you will be in big trouble. So I also turned into the Queen of Hearts minus the crown, but with the similar vibes. I used to enter the class, no questions, just listen to me as I explain. Now, what was the result? You can imagine blank faces, muffled yawns, and me wondering why no one cared about what I was teaching. Then came a seasoned colleague. She was a gentle Mad Hatter, and she told me, encourage questions. Thank every child who asks. It means that they are listening. And that changed everything. The classroom lit up. Curiosity bloomed, and I started thanking students for every question. And it made them bolder, brighter, and beautifully interactive. So today, I carry that habit into training sessions for teachers and principals too. I encourage them to ask questions, and it really helps. So when we shift from the command and control to gratitude and curiosity, we stop acting like the queen and start teaching just like the caterpillar. A little mysterious, lot wiser, and more effective. Thank you. So now I would like to ask Shritapa what she has to add on.
Thank you, Sujata. And definitely, I can relate with this. This is a part of critical thinking, which is very important in today's world. Because just imagine students who are passing out and they have to make career choices. And just taking an example, say Samir, a person, student is feeling pressured in joining a prestigious job just because everyone else is doing that. He is pushed to do that, and he wants to pursue something of his passions and skills as a long term goal. But then that is not a choice to take a different path which he is interested in doing, because the world is not comfortable with it. It is because his society is not used to looking that as a profession. So this kind of thing takes you away. So a logical thinking, a critical thinking needs to be done, that what I want from heart, am I pursuing that? Because what you want, you can achieve the best things from that, and not what the world is seeing as a prestigious job or a title which they want to see on your name. So if you enjoyed till now what we are discussing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So keep listening. So now we are going to listen to the second part of the book, Alice in Wonderland. Let's see what more insight is there for us. Over to you, Dr. Siddharth. Let us know what is there in the book.
Thank you, Shitapa. And let's come to the next part of Alice in the Wonderland, where we are in the last chapters. And these chapters talk about the importance of critical thinking. In this, one of the chapters where Alice is talking to her favorite Cheshire cat, and Cheshire cat's head is only visible. The king sees Cheshire cat and he says, "Okay, who is this?" And then Alice tells him that it's her favorite cat. And the king doesn't like the cat, but then he says, "If you would like to, then just kiss my hand." But the cat very strangely says, "I rather not." And that remark makes the king angry. And then when the king gets angry, he says that, "I don't want to see this cat. Let's get rid of it." And then comes the the queen's message, "Behead her, off with its head." And the king gives that message to the executioner, and the executioner says, "Okay." But then, in some time, the executioner realizes that the cat's head is only visible. And he starts arguing on the fact that, how can I behead a cat whose body is not there? And the king says, if anything has a head, then it should be beheaded very easily. And that's where the trial starts, and everybody starts getting curious about what is going on. This is where the trial's absurdity comes into light, and it highlights the need for critical thinking and skepticism. We must question assumptions and challenge illogical reasoning. It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards indeed. In the last chapter, as Alice also is growing larger and knocks over the court, she symbolizes the power of awakening to absurdity. Let's try to think critically and challenge the status quo, just as Alice challenges the absurd world of Wonderland. Alice's growth symbolizes eventual awakening. It shows us the importance of recognizing and challenging absurd situations, which we must be willing to question. We must be questioning authority and think for ourselves, why these situations are occurring. How can we apply critical thinking to our own lives? What can we learn from Alice's experience? What do you think, Dr. Geeta, about it?
Yes, Siddharth, I agree with you, and I really feel that the trial silliness highlights the need for critical thinking. And I also see that as Alice grows larger and she knocks over the board, she is symbolizing the power of awakening to absurdity. I would say rather that as she finds self belief and self confidence within herself, she finds the courage to face that illogical situation. And this starts a process of growing larger, and she cannot stop it from happening. But I start to focus on what we can learn from Alice's experience. So, Alice's growth symbolizes the inner awakening to her power and capabilities. It could come about because of circumstances, as in her case, or it could be by the grace of the mentor. because it is important to recognize our limiting beliefs and challenge those absurd situations. And we must be willing to question authority and think for ourselves. This reminds me of a student of mine I had taught in a suburban college and who came from an economically weaker section and had studied in a vernacular medium. So this student, he used to get very good marks in all the subjects except in English. There he would be having 2 to 3 marks scarcity for a pass. And then I made a very bold decision. I somehow ferreted out some marks from somewhere from his answers, and I made him pass that first time. And after that, there was a total transformation within himself. When he realized he passed that subject, and he felt that he had that power and capability to, to be proficient in the English language, he went on to become a class representative and the vice president of the college later on. And he's doing very successfully in his life now. So I believe that his transformation is so good, it is no less than Alice's transformation. So I think in today's world, we often find ourselves in systems that feel confusing, contradictory, or unjust. Whether it is a dysfunctional workplace, or a biased legal system, or even a toxic social media culture, or even in an outdated education situation, the key is to refuse manipulation, reclaim our personal power, and create a truth, our own truth, with self-awareness. So what do you think, Sritapa?
Yeah, hi Geeta. Thanks for that amazing insight. And I really feel that critical thinking, and this is very important. And your mind is something which is always distracted, and heart has a very steady, it is steady, and it will not get distracted. It knows what it wants. So if you are somewhere in stuck between your mind and heart, since then I think we have to work towards avoiding to go towards the distractions with the mind is getting towards, rather focus back what your heart speaks and take actions accordingly. So that will lead to a better life and more mindful living. So with this, I give it back to Jasbir. And Jasbir, can you please bring more lights from the book, The Magic?
Thank you, Shritapa. First, we'll have a recap of what Siddharth explained to us about Alice in Wonderland. The scene is there's a trial which happens where there is no logic. The king and queen are not applying their mind. They're not thinking. They're doing whatever on their whims and fancies. And then we see Alice taking over, where literally and metaphorically, she's growing bigger, stronger, and clearer. Finally, she stands tall, calls out the nonsense, and walks away. And what is our takeaway from this? The scene reminds us just because something is official doesn't mean it's right. Alice's growth is our growth. When we question nonsense and stop shrinking ourselves to fit absurd expectations. And that is when our real true growth begins. And Rhonda Byrne has explained to us in the chapters that magically transform your mistakes into blessings. We are often held back by past missteps or social verdicts. Gratitude turns these into stepping stones. When you appreciate what you've learned, even from the mistakes, you stop being judged and start becoming something in life. And what is the insight we get from there? Alice's moment of clarity in the courtroom is your moment of reclaiming truth. The magic teaches us to see our past not as a trial, but as training. When you shift from shame to gratitude, you don't just grow, you rise. So, don't wait for someone else's verdict. Gratitude makes you your own judge and liberator. And what are our final lessons? Power without gratitude becomes tyranny. Rules without reflection become prisons. And growth begins the moment you start asking, does this make sense for me? So that's what we need. Our critical thinking cap should be on, and we should be grateful that we've made those mistakes, because the lessons we learn from them help us grow and become better human beings. When the world feels mad, and it will, anchor yourself in thankfulness, in awareness, and in truth. This, I'd like to hand over to Sujata to give us a relatable insight on what we've learned from Rhonda Band, The Magic. Over to you, Sujata. Thank you.
I have got a real life incident to share. So let me just share it. Uh, when I released my first book, I had imagined a fairy tale launch, sales ringing like temple bells, readers flocking, publishers, and me also dancing with joy. But the reality was totally different. A few likes I got, an awkward comment someone said, you wrote a real book? But instead of sulking, I took Rhonda's advice. I sat down and analyzed every missed opportunity to market my book. The social media silence. Why wasn't I posting? Why was I skipping networking? The emails I was not sending. And I'm still sorry that I have missed a few mails, but still. Then I turned those failures into a checklist of learning. I did some critical thinking, some analysis, where I was failing and why. I started thanking, expressing gratitude to all those who helped me in my journey that, yes, my book is published, something which was my dream. It has finally come through. So, with consistent gratitude and strategy, things changed. And yes, I got the bestseller tag for the same book. So, the deep, humbling joy of messages from readers who said, your book helped me. And those emails, they lit up my world like anything. So, like Alice growing tall and strong in the courtroom, we too rise when we face the absurdity of failure. But we need to analyze them with the clarity of reflection. And gratitude helps you to see mistakes, not as a shame, but as the syllabus you were secretly writing for your next success. So, thank you. Now, Shritapa, would you like to add to this?
Sure. I can now say how gratitude can make you someone who can be grounded. And once you understand that, yes, you are having some issues with something like in life which is messed up, or too many power involved where you're not able to take some decisions in life. But I think what Rhonda here explains is critical thinking is important, that you see what is good for you, what is working, take actions accordingly, and be less distracted, uh, practice gratitude, and that's when you will know your skills better, like, yes, this is what I can do at the moment. And the growth begins when you stop doing nonsense and question it. So with this, I think there is a wrap up for this today's show, that the danger of unchecked power can be very, very harmful to us, and the importance of critical thinking in our life is really important. And Rhonda has explained it very importantly, like the power, how we can stop misusing by practicing gratitude and making being our own judge and questioning the nonsense. With this, I wrap up. And don't forget BWB Sunday quiz, which is just end of this month, 29th of June. So we will be there here 5 p.m. hosting this quiz with you, and join us to win some goodies and get exciting prizes from us. So stay tuned until we meet next. Bye bye. Take care.